The first knock came at exactly 3:17 a.m. It was soft. Just 3 slow taps. Knock. 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 At first, I thought I was dreaming. My eyes opened slowly, and I stared at the dark ceiling of my apartment bedroom. For a few seconds, everything was quiet. Then it happened again. Knock. 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 My heart started beating faster. The sound was coming from my window. I sat up in bed, confused. My apartment was on the 10th floor of a tall building in the middle of the city. Outside my window there was nothing but open air and the street far below. No balcony. No fire escape. Nothing anyone could stand on. So how could someone be knocking? I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. The screen lit up the room. 3:17 a.m. My mouth felt dry. Probably the wind, I whispered to myself. But deep down, I knew it wasn't the wind. Because the knocks were too perfect. Too human. For the next few seconds, I just sat there, listening. The apartment was completely silent. Then suddenly, knock. 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 Louder this time. Right on the glass. I froze. Every instinct in my body told me not to look. But curiosity slowly pulled me toward the window. I slid my legs off the bed and stood up. The cold floor made me shiver. Step by step, I walked across the dark room. My heart was pounding so loudly I thought it might wake the neighbors. The curtains were closed. The knocking had stopped. I stood there for a moment, staring at the fabric, trying to convince myself this was nothing. Just the pipes, or a bird, maybe, I muttered. But birds don't knock. And pipes don't tap on glass. Slowly, I reached for the curtain. My fingers hesitated. Something about this felt wrong. Very wrong. Still, I grabbed the edge of the curtain and pulled it aside. The city lights flooded the room. Cars moved far below like tiny glowing insects. The street looked normal. Peaceful. Empty. And outside my window, there was nothing. Just darkness and the long drop to the ground 10 floors below. I let out a nervous laugh. See? Nothing. I started to close the curtain again. But then I noticed something strange. On the outside of the glass, there were 3 fingerprints. Long smudged. And placed exactly where the knocking had come from. My stomach dropped. Because those prints were on the outside of the window. And there was no possible way anyone could reach that high. Suddenly, knock. 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 The sound exploded against the glass. Right in front of my face. I jumped backward so hard I nearly fell over. But the window was empty. No hand. No person. Just the marks, slowly sliding down the glass. Like something invisible had just pulled its fingers away. My breathing became fast and shallow. This isn't real, I whispered. I stepped closer again, trying to calm myself down. Maybe the marks were old. Maybe the sound came from somewhere else. Maybe, my thoughts stopped. Because a new mark slowly appeared on the glass. Right in front of me. Like an invisible finger was drawing on it. A single line. Then another. Then another. 3 long scratches forming the shape of something. My chest tightened. Because the shape looked like a handprint. But the fingers were too long. Too thin. Almost unnatural. Before I could react, knock. 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 This time the glass shook. And I heard something else. A voice. Very quiet. Very close. Right outside the window. Whispering my name. Daniel, I stumbled backward, my heart racing. No one should know my name out there. No one could even be out there. But the voice came again. Soft. Slow. And right next to my ear through the glass. "Daniel, let me in." My blood ran cold. Because the voice sounded exactly like mine, for a moment. I couldn't move. My mind refused to believe what I had just heard. The voice outside my window had said my name. And it sounded exactly like me. I forced myself to breathe slowly, trying to calm down. Maybe I was still half asleep. Maybe this was some kind of dream. But then, knock. 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 The sound came. Again. Slow. Patient. Like whoever, or whatever, was outside knew I was listening. My heart pounded in my chest. "Who's there?" I called out, my voice shaking. There was no answer. Just silence. I stared at the window. The fingerprints were still there, faint and stretched across the glass like someone had pressed their hand against it. But there was still no one outside. No face. No body. Nothing but the empty night sky. I grabbed my phone again and turned on the flashlight. The white beam lit up the window. The marks became clearer. 5 long fingerprints. Too long to belong to a normal person. And they were slowly sliding downward, leaving thin streaks on the glass. Like something had just been holding onto the window, and was now letting go. A cold chill ran down my spine. I stepped back from the window. "This is impossible," I whispered. But deep down, I knew something was very wrong. Then my phone buzzed suddenly in my hand. The sound made me jump. It was a notification from my security camera app. My stomach tightened. I had installed a small camera in my living room a few months ago after hearing strange noises in the hallway at night. I almost never checked it. But right now, the notification said, "Motion detected." My chest felt heavy as I opened the app. The camera feed loaded slowly. For a second, the screen was black. Then the image appeared. It showed my living room. Everything looked normal. The couch. The TV. The kitchen door. But something felt wrong. Very wrong. I leaned closer to the screen. Then I noticed it. The front door. It was slightly open. My heart skipped a beat. I clearly remembered locking it before going to bed. But now the door was open just a few inches. And the hallway outside was completely dark. My breathing became shallow. Did someone break in? I whispered. I kept watching the camera feed. Nothing moved. For a full minute, the screen stayed completely still. Then suddenly, something moved in the hallway. At first, it was just a shadow. Tall. Thin. Standing perfectly still just outside the door. I felt a wave of fear rush through my body. The shadow slowly leaned forward. And then, a face appeared in the doorway. But it wasn't a normal face. It looked wrong. The head was tilted too far to one side. The skin looked pale and stretched. And the eyes. The eyes were completely black. I gasped and nearly dropped my phone. Because the face staring into my apartment looked exactly like mine. Same hair. Same nose. Same mouth. But the smile. The smile was too wide. Much wider than any human smile should be. The thing stepped slowly into the apartment. The camera image flickered for a moment. But I could still see it clearly. It moved strangely. Its arms hung too low. Its fingers almost touched the floor. And its head kept twitching from side to side. Like it was studying the room. Like it was learning. My heart was racing now. How is this possible? I whispered. Then the creature suddenly stopped moving. Its head turned toward the camera. Slowly. Very slowly. And then it leaned closer. The screen filled with its face. Its black eyes stared directly into the camera. And then it spoke. In my voice. Soft. Calm. And terrifying. Daniel, I felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. The creature's smile grew even wider. And then it said something that made my blood freeze. I'm already inside. At that exact moment, knock. 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 The sound came from my bedroom window again. Right behind me. Slow. Patient. Waiting. I turned toward the window with shaking hands. If the thing was already inside the apartment. Then what? Was knocking from outside? And suddenly, my bedroom door creaked open behind me. Very slowly. Very quietly. I didn't want to turn around. But I knew something was standing there. Watching me. Breathing softly in the dark. And then a voice whispered from the hallway. Right behind my back. Daniel, you forgot to lock the window. My entire body froze. The voice behind me sounded exactly like mine. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Slowly, very slowly. I turned around. The bedroom door was open just a few inches. The hallway outside was dark. Completely empty. My heart pounded in my chest. Hello? I said nervously. No answer. Just silence. But the silence felt heavy, like something was still there, watching me. I tightened my grip on my phone and pointed the flashlight toward the hallway. The white beam cut through the darkness. The hallway looked normal. The bathroom door was closed. The living room light was off. Everything looked exactly the way it always did. But something inside me screamed that I was not alone. Then my phone buzzed again. Another notification from the camera app. Motion detected. My stomach dropped. With shaking hands, I opened the app again. The living room camera feed appeared on the screen. At first, everything looked normal. But then I noticed something strange. The creature that looked like me was no longer standing near the front door. It was closer to the camera now. Much closer. Too close. It stood in the middle of the living room, staring directly at the camera. Its head was tilted again. Almost like it was confused. Or curious. The smile on its face was still there. Wide. Unnatural. My breathing became faster. I watched as the creature slowly lifted its hand. Its fingers were long and thin, just like the fingerprints on the window. And then it waved at the camera. Slowly. Back and forth. Like it knew I was watching. My heart nearly stopped. Then something even worse happened. The creature walked closer to the camera. Step by step. Until its face filled the entire screen. I could see every detail now. The pale skin. The black eyes. The smile that stretched too far across its face. And then the creature leaned toward the camera, and whispered.